Sean asked her, have you looked into the crucifixion of Christ? And she gave this look, but it was so intense and scary.
No, it wasn't. This is just the latest in a long line of nonsense to come out of the Sean Ryan podcast. And you want to know how I can say that with such conviction? It's because I have a copy of her original remote viewing report, and it paints a completely different picture than the creepypasta meme bullshit here. The document states very clearly that she couldn't get any perceptions of the event at all. And you can see in her own notes that she's all over the place. She reports seeing crystals, loud beeping, lights, and explosions. And I'm pretty sure that those aren't part of the original crucifixion story. For all we know, she was fantasizing about watching Labyrinth, but she didn't report a bulge. Dance, magic dance. In fact, she didn't report anything solid and tangible at all. And there's a really strange inconsistency with that, because the experimenter that made the notes on the report reported that she drew some partial crosses, even though that's very blatantly false. She drew these scribbles, but if you go to Hobby Lobby and buy a cross that looks like this, you should probably take it back and get a refund. The scientist in me sees this as a very obvious case of the experimenter trying to doctor the results and lead the conclusions. This is probably one of the reasons why when the Army and CIA brought in the National Research Council to independently audit their remote viewing programs, they found all kinds of holes and inconsistencies and called bullshit. Now, this is not to call into question whether I think she has genuine ESP and psychic ability. I think she probably does. But when a woman who can see things and find things can't see or find that event happening, that should probably tell you something. And I think that another explanation for this is that that event never happened. Now imagine you're a hotshot remote viewer and you can see things halfway around the world and people verify that those things actually exist, and maybe you came up with a religious upbringing and one day your boss asks you to go and see something that you think actually happened and you find out that it didn't. Now wouldn't that just be a little bit unnerving? Wouldn't that be the kind of thing that would clam you up on a podcast and make you not want to touch it with a 10-foot pole? A fanciful story that forms the basis for most of Western civilization. In fact, remote viewers have a long history of being led on wild goose chases to view things that never existed. Like this gal, who was a partner with Army remote viewer Ed Dames and claims this with such conviction.
We were asked to determine the location of Saddam Hussein's hidden biological weapons.
Now imagine making that claim back in the 1990s, but all these years later we know for a fact that Saddam Hussein didn't have these things, and that's based on actual factual information. Did these fancy pants Army remote viewers just make it up? You notice they never tell you about the times when they get caught with their pants down. This isn't me being against Psi, ESP, or remote viewing. I know they exist. I use them myself. What I'm saying is that this methodology is filled with pitfalls. When the experimenter or the psychic has a bias that something exists and it really doesn't, and they try to view it, they can subconsciously impact and bias their own results. And it's also been shown that the psychic can pick up on the biases and expectations of the experimenter. Remote viewing and ESP can be thought of as the overlap between visualization and imagination and reality. You use the same mental tools to visualize and pick up on non-local psychic information as you would to daydream. And it's very difficult to safeguard against leading the psychic into a realm of fantasy versus getting real information. Oh, hey little guy, can you tell all the nice people out here what we call it when a remote viewer in the military tries to see something that doesn't exist?
That's called a hallucination.
That's absolutely right. They're just making shit up. Now, it's a little strange to me that this elderly woman would clam up like a non-communicative child instead of just admitting that she couldn't view the event, but you can't really blame her given how crazy people get about that topic. But I'm really disappointed with Sean Ryan for pushing this like it's reality, just as he's pushed so many other flights of fancy from less than reputable guests. To wrap this all up, I want to tell you the craziest thing that I see in all the propaganda that this stream of military and Fed remote viewing experts are pushing down your throat. They really try to gloss over the fact that working among the military boys were everyday psychics, people who weren't using the remote viewing methodologies, people who were using things like good old-fashioned tarot cards and clairvoyance, and that these people, these psychics, were more accurate than the military boys. They referred to them as the witches, and there was a ton of drama between the military guys and the outsiders. And you'd be amazed at how much drama military guys are capable of. They're like a bunch of high school girls. So just remember, whenever you hear about remote viewing, it's a lot of Fed propaganda. They're really trying to downplay just how powerful the traditional methods of spirituality and seership can be. It's a funny story about the document that I just showed you. One of the reasons I was able to find it is because I use my own ability. It's one of the reasons why I'm able to consistently come up with information for you that other researchers can't. You're all more powerful than you realize. So if you'd like to know the truth about ESP and clairvoyance and psychic ability, and if you'd like to have access to scientific, fact-based technology that can help you harness what ability you may have, you need to check out our psychic training devices and mind-to-mind system. These are devices that can help people bring about their own latent abilities in their own ways, to harness the genius that's inside all of us. So don't let the feds gaslight you into believing that they have something that you don't. You have a lot more than you realize, and if you'd like to learn how to harness it, we can help.